Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited today to recognize the career of Major General McGuire and welcome our newest Adjutant General. I've had the honor of working with Major General McGuire since I first took office. He was appointed in 2013 before I was elected, and he served his state and his country honorably ever since. I'm especially grateful for General McGuire's support this past year as we've navigated through the COVID-19 pandemic. He stepped into an outsized role early on, and he and his team have been instrumental ever since. Members of the National Guard have helped operate testing sites, transported medical supplies to remote areas of our state, packed boxes and distributed food at local food banks. And most recently, they've helped operate our mass vaccination sites very successfully. I want to thank all the members of the National Guard for your dedication and hard work. I also want to recognize the work that General McGuire and his team have done to help secure our borders over the past few years. In 2018, we deployed more than 300 troops from the National Guard to support President Trump's border security mission. The support mission was a success thanks to the dedication of our troops and the leadership of General McGuire. I look forward to working with General McGuire's successor to address the present situation at the border. And with that, today I am eager to announce that I will be appointing General Kerry Muellenbeck as Arizona's newest Adjutant General and the Director of the Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs. General Muellenbeck moved to Arizona in 1993, where she served as an Assistant Staff Judge Advocate at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Then in 1997, she joined the Arizona Air National Guard, serving as both a wing level and headquarters staff judge advocate. General Muellenbeck served in numerous roles until she became Arizona's Deputy Adjutant in 2018. Kerry has a PhD in Justice Studies. She has a law degree, and she has over 2 decades of leadership and expertise in the National Guard. Now, the first female Adjutant General in the history of Arizona. I could go on all day about the General's accomplishments, but they aren't the only reason I selected her as our next Adjutant General. What sold me on General Muellenbeck was her record of proven leadership and her consistent determination to serve her country. Before General Muellenbeck retired, she was responsible for bringing together every branch of the National Guard to address emergencies. Leadership like this will be critical as we face the many challenges in front of us, from COVID-19 to natural disasters to public safety. Not only that, but she understands the importance of building and recruiting to the National Guard in a state with a growing and changing population. Lastly, as a one-star general, not only is she formally able to immediately serve Arizona as Adjutant General, I know that she's ready to serve Arizona as well. She's shown nothing but dedication to her state and her country for nearly 30 years. And I'm excited for this next chapter in her exceptional career. It's my honor to appoint General Muellenbeck as our next Adjutant General. I'll hand it over to you, General.
Just taking it all in. You know, I don't think I've ever been more humbled than to be appointed as the state's next Adjutant General. So Governor Ducey, thank you so very much. I know you had a very talented core of individuals that you spent a significant amount of time with, and each one of them uniquely qualified to do this. I am very thankful that you chose me, that you put your trust in me, and you gave me this opportunity. As the governor said, I came to Arizona back in the early 90s, started on active duty at Davis-Monthan, And that's when I first came to Arizona. After my 4 years, I separated and I joined the National Guard. And that's what kept me in Arizona. And for the bulk of my 23 years of service with the National Guard, I was always a traditional drill status guardsman. And if you don't know what that means, a traditional guardsman is really the face of the National Guard. We compose probably over 2/3 of what the National Guard is. That means while I served our country and I served the great state of Arizona, I was also a full-time civilian employee elsewhere. I worked in the community down in Tucson as a deputy county attorney down in Pima County. Today, I continue to work as a professor at Mesa Community College. And so I've always had a connection to the community, one that I'm proud of. But now instead of leaving my plow in the field, I'm leaving my classroom to serve. And serve, I certainly will. I really believe you're looking at the face and you're listening to the voice of a true citizen soldier. You know, I'm not a pilot, I'm not an infantryman, and I'm not going to pretend to be either one of those. I'm a lawyer by trade, I'm an educator at heart, and yes, I also happen to be a female, but clearly I didn't have much control over that. Don't get me wrong, the historical importance of being the first female adjutant general in Arizona is not lost on me, but I do hope that what I've done and who I am is more important than simply my sex. You know, I've never considered myself a female member of the military. I was always just another member of the military. And as the adjutant general, really my new role is to enable the soldiers and the airmen and the civilians of whatever race, creed, ethnicity, sex they are to be wildly successful. That is my role. You know, I'm so proud to return to an agency, one that continues to test its mettle in really what has been a chaotic and ever-changing world. A big part of me feels like I'm coming home. You know, I haven't been gone that long. And whenever I look at the uniform, whatever restlessness I have, it always calms and it always goes away. And putting on the uniform today, it was no different, even though I knew I was going to face a corps of reporters, right, and stand here at the executive tower. So the uniform is comforting to me. It's something I'm used to, and I know moving forward that the National Guard will continue to meet all their partners wherever they are, and that we will remain ready, we will remain always there. I have to tell you, I was mentored the last 5 years of my career by a phenomenal leader, and that was General McGuire. And I have some very big shoes to fill, figuratively and literally. I was also mentored by a significant number of my peers and my subordinates. They were Army, they were Air Force, right? True and true. They were soldiers, they were civilians. And it's all those shoulders that I know I will stand on as we move forward. And together with the 8,300 members of our department, it's going to continue to soar, just like it did under General McGuire. And I couldn't be more thankful, Governor Ducey, for this opportunity and for the faith and the confidence you've placed in me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, General, and welcome aboard. On behalf of the entire state of Arizona, I want to thank you for your service. Now, we know that moving forward, we have our challenges ahead of us, and we're still continuing this fight against COVID-19, and we have a crisis at the border as well. But under your leadership, General Muellenbeck, I know we can overcome these challenges and protect Arizonans. So before we get to questions, I want to once again recognize General Mick McGuire for his service to the state of Arizona and the United States. From his time as an Air Force pilot to his tenure as the Adjutant General of Arizona, General McGuire's overcome numerous challenges with leadership and determination. I want to thank him for his service to our state and our nation. I want to thank him for what he has stepped up to do leading DEMA during this pandemic. He's been someone that has served the state, the administration, and the nation very well. And I also want to thank him for his help in this transition. If the women and men that General McGuire put in front of me for this selection process are any reflection of the talent and depth of the United States military, we can all sleep very well tonight in the homeland. And I pity our enemies around the globe. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, General McGuire.
Thank you, Governor Ducey. Thank you very much, and good morning, General Muellenbeck, and partners in media and fellow citizens here in Arizona. I first want to say thank you to Governor Ducey. Served with Governor Ducey since the transition in 2014 and then into 2015, and I appreciate the trust and confidence you have put in me and the entire 8,300 man and women team here in the Arizona National Guard. We represent the fabric of this state in all 15 counties at 29 locations around the entire state of Arizona. We represent urban and rural, teachers and factory workers, plumbers and pilots. And they come to work every day as part of the community. And over the last year, we called 85% of them to duty at some point. The height of it being during the civil unrest when there was a statewide curfew declared. 85%. To put that in context, we have never deployed that number of National Guardsmen for responses in the homeland since the first Adjutant General was appointed in Arizona in 1865. And the only time we've had that level of participation occur was after the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the mobilization of this great nation in World War II. And it's why you hear me say, these young men and women are the next greatest generation. I'd be remiss if I did not say thank you to Governor Brewer for having the trust and confidence in me to take a risk on a young one-star general from Tucson, Arizona that was serving as an F-16 pilot and saying, you've never spent a day in your life at the state headquarters, not one day. No, ma'am, you're perfect. Why? Because if there needs to be cultural change, innovative thought, sometimes you got to think outside the box. And I thank her for taking that risk. And to all of the soldiers and airmen in the organization, you know, we understand this idea of faith, family, duty. My family, my wife, and 3 beautiful daughters, they sacrifice. And they make sacrifices, all of them. And I think it's important for all of you to understand, not one time in 8 years as an Adjutant General deploying units in combat, not one single time has a single guardsman missed their requirements to deploy forward and meet the nation's call. Not one time in the last year has one of them complained to me about leaving their home, leaving their family, leaving their duty, whether it being deploying to the border, working in a food bank in a rural county, or deploying forward to Afghanistan. We are the primary combat reserve of the United States Army and the United States Air Force. We will continue to be that. Our commander-in-chief at rest is Governor Doug Ducey. When he asks us to deploy to support the efforts under his authority in the state, we respond legal, morally, and ethically. When asked to do that forward in expeditionary ways at the request of the president, we do that legal, morally, and ethically. And the greatest indicator of the value of the team and the importance of the team and the quality of the team is not your individual 3 daughters. Carrie Muellenbeck is just the best. She's not a female general. She's just the best. Forget that. She's just the best. And if you're female and you introduce yourself as such, you're denigrating your opportunity to just be the best. Just be the best. And Carrie, I leave behind 8,300 that I care about. They've been my kids for the last 8 years. Take good care of them. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, General McGuire. And again, thank you for your service on behalf of the entire state of Arizona. Not only your service, but your wife and 3 daughters as well. Moving forward, of course, there are challenges in front of us. As I mentioned, COVID-19, a crisis at the border, but with General Muellenbeck standing in the gap along with the National Guardsmen, I know we can overcome these challenges and protect Arizonans. And with that, we'll take some questions. CJ?
Let's be respectful of each other. I want to give everyone an opportunity to ask at least one question, or make another round if we have time. Mark.
Yes, thank you, Governor. Question to you regarding the border. You have been pretty outspoken about the federal government's responsibility down there. Maybe you seem to suggest there may be options that you as governor may take in the border. Interesting to find out what they are and how does the new general play into those options.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, we definitely do have a crisis at the border. It's not only a border crisis, it's also a humanitarian crisis. The border traditionally is a federal issue and a federal focus. The Biden White House has ignored the situation at the border in Arizona and I think across the southern United States. So we have options as a state. Of course, we're working with ranchers and border sheriffs and leaders at the county level. We also have a phone call into the White House. I plan to talk with the president about what their next steps will be, but the National Guard will be part of this solution and we will have action taken.
Can you give me any sort of specifics as to what options you're specifically thinking about and the implementation of the Guard?
Well, I'd say the first actions that I'd like to see is the federal government actually do its job. The border was largely stable not that long ago. Today, we have 170,000 people that have been apprehended. We have nearly 18,000 children that are in the care of the federal government, and the federal government's not very good at being a parent. We have over 4,000 people that have crossed the border that have been convicted criminals in previous years. So this is something that we need federal support. Now, Arizona is going to do its part, of course, but if we protect Arizona and these same folks are coming through Texas or New Mexico or California, it really goes for naught. So the National Guard to the border is not something new. This is something that happened under President Obama. Of course, it happened under President Bush and President Trump. We're trying to get the Biden administration to realize that the border is part of the situation that their White House is responsible for.
I'm sorry, Chief Martin, sir, with all due respect, but I'm just trying to find out what options are you specifically thinking about that would involve the National
The National Guard serves in a support role when they go to the border. Of course, we already have Customs and Border Patrol at the border. We also have Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They need to work together in a partnership with the National Guard supporting them. President Biden put Vice President Harris in charge of the border, and Vice President Harris has equated ICE to the KKK. So I don't have a lot of faith in the seriousness that they're taking of the situation at the border.
Just real quick before I get to my question, I just want to follow up. Are you willing to, if the federal government isn't going to fund it, are you willing to use state funds?
Yes, we're going to use every tool, authority, and resource that we have to be successful on the southern border. We need to work in partnership with the federal government, but Arizona is going to act regardless.
Okay. Obviously, seeing what happened by Major League Baseball, and are you concerned, given the election bills that are pending here, we could end up losing things like the Super Bowl?
I think Major League Baseball made a big mistake. I'd like to keep politics out of baseball. That's how I prefer it. And I really feel for the folks around the stadium in Atlanta, the small business people and the people that count on an event like that and have likely planned all year to take advantage of it, especially with us coming back to life and getting out and about. And hopefully it'll be a sellout crowd for what the All-Star Game should have been in Atlanta, honoring Hank Aaron, the home run king, and also a major figure in the civil rights movement. So I think it was a big mistake. In terms of what we're going to do here in Arizona, I'm going to sign good policy, okay? And I report to the people of Arizona, not a major sports league. And I'm going to make decisions on the policies that are put in front of me. And if good policy is put in front of me, I'm going to enthusiastically sign it.
Just briefly following on that, you probably saw the letter from members of Greater Phoenix leadership, led by Michael Bidwell, somebody I know you talk with regularly. They have some concerns and they want to make sure that these bills do not become law. Are you willing to listen?
I report to the people of Arizona. I listen to the citizens of Arizona. There's always bills. There are always bills in the legislature that cause people concern. Good bills get signed, bad bills get vetoed. I think we ought to stick to the facts on what's in a bill. And I don't think that the facts were really part of the reporting on the laws that were passed in Georgia. But I'm going to stick to my lane, and that's Arizona.
Jeremy?
Remember, obviously, Senate President Fan last week announced your audit team for the election audit she wants to do for Maricopa County, and announced the terms of that auditor. Do you have any concerns given who's going to be doing this audit, what kinds of some of their activities in recent months, with their statements about the election, and some of the things that are in this contract, very bizarre things like looking for counterfeit ballots, searching for ambiguous anomalies in precincts, going to people's homes, knocking on.
I'm going to leave that to President Fan and the legislature.
If you don't have any, do you feel like this audit will be fair?
Well, I'm going to leave that to President Fan. I mean, let's see what the report says and how it's presented.
Dennis?
Yeah, I did want to ask you, I've been asked CJ the other day about this, since your health department awarded this $1 million contract to a consultant of yours, do PR work during the during this COVID pandemic, to raise awareness among Hispanics about masks, about vaccines. Do you think single source, not competitive contracts with this kind of important work, that's the way to keep this kind of consideration and other options?
Well, I'm not aware of the award that you're discussing. I trust Kara Christ and her leadership at the Department of Health Services, and I'm certain they made a good decision.
Does it look, how does the public not look at this as cronyism, as someone getting paid back?
Like I said, you're breaking news to me. I, of course, put good people to lead agencies, and then they make decisions and support the mission of the administration. I don't, Dennis, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Well, I'd have to have some idea what you're talking about. So,
Let's go to Jonathan.
Just to follow up on Howie's question, other than the public GPL letter that you heard from members of the business community about the election bill?
I hear from a lot of people. I'm proud of the broad network and the large amount of coalitions that have been supportive of the administration over the years. And of course, every legislative session, people want to make their case. That's why we go through the briefing process we do when a bill does pass through both chambers. I think 92% of the legislation that I've signed since becoming governor has been bipartisan legislation. I think Arizona's record as a state in terms of growth and economic prosperity and personal income growth, as net in-migration is good or better than any state in the country. So we've moved good policy forward. People want to make the case in this session. In many years, we lost the session last year. So I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be open-minded, but I'm going to be signing good policy and vetoing bad ideas. But the chamber has every right. They are a co-equal branch of government, and this is how our laws are made. They're presented by legislators. They go through both chambers. They need a majority vote. And if they're successful on the third reading, they come to the governor.
You mentioned earlier that there's been misreporting around the Georgia bill. That came up to you? Is that something that you would have signed?
I don't think that's a really fair hypothetical, which is what it is. And I'm not going to trade in hypotheticals, but Arizona's been a leading state in terms of election reform, improvement, and integrity since 1992. Many of these other states are aspiring to have much of what we have here in Arizona. So I just don't think it's a fair analogy because their laws are completely different than ours.
Dylan?
I will point out, though, some of the things that were said about the Georgia law were pointed out by the Post with 4 Pinocchios for what the comments President Biden made on how he presented the law in the state of Georgia. That's quite a fact check.
Yeah, you did say several times that you're going to sign good policy, you're going to sign bad policy. I know you don't like to comment on any legislation.
And I don't.
Have gotten a lot of attention. Have you seen bad policy that's about to come up here? Is there anything that's been pending down there that you consider bad policy?
I'm going to stick to my policy on this. I mean, I think there's something like 16 or 1700 bills that have been dropped. Okay. Well, it's very, very rare, and I know that you know this because you've been down here this long, that a bill as presented is the bill that arrives if it is successful. So it is the input of the 90 elected leaders in their own right along the way that will determine if the bill fails, if it succeeds. And then I do have a role as the executive of whether I would determine it to be good policy.
Dylan?
Governor, so you've been a big champion of Arizona's elections. Seconds ago, talking about how well Arizona has done elections here. You were there on November 30th signing the election result official. Do you think the Senate audit is necessary?
I'm going to leave that to the Senate. I've said what I've said about Arizona's elections. Of course, you were there on the 30th. All 15 of our counties certified the results. They were audited. The votes were tabulated and determined to be accurate. So, but the Senate is a co-equal branch of government, and they've made a decision. They can pursue it.
Right, but Maricopa County also conducted 2 audits that came up with no discrepancy of fraud. Do you think this audit is unnecessary?
I'm going to leave it to I'm going to leave it to President Fan.
Do you think it's based on a law?
I'm going to leave it to President Fan.
Maria, any questions?
Yeah, sorry, shifting gears real quick, Governor, you signed a law that would essentially, or that you've described essentially as a proactive measure to block enforcement of federal gun reform. Is there any type of gun control measures that would support? I know in the past you had advocated for so-called red flag gun laws here. Is there any common reform that you could see?
We're going to protect the Second Amendment rights in Arizona. The law that I signed was a proactive law that would preclude any unconstitutional changes or things that would erode people's enumerated rights in the state of Arizona. What I'd like to see happen is our existing laws that are on the books to be enforced. I think that's the best way that we can have a safer state and a safer country.
Is there any room for changes in terms of gun policy?
I think, and this is the same to Dylan's earlier question. I always think there's room for improvement. on what can be done. Much of what we've done in Arizona in terms of populating our census on the background check. So if someone has been arrested or is a felon from another state and is visiting Arizona or changing residence to Arizona, we can make a better decision on and apply the law more evenly with of course, equal justice. So we've done that. We've not only advocated for that, we've resourced that. So that there is room for improvement. But what I believe in this current time is that we should be enforcing the laws that are on the books.
Could I just quickly follow up to her question?
Mhm.
For 2 years, you made a big point about stop orders. You included in one of your state of the state. Last 2 years, nothing. Have you given up on stop orders? I've heard no speeches, no presentations. Have you just been beaten back by the NRA or what?
No, we've got an agenda that we're moving forward. I mean, we've put it out in the state of the state, and there's other things in the legislature that we're working on. It's rather aggressive, and that's what we're focused on.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone, and again, congratulations to General Muellenbeck. I'm very much looking forward to working with you in the coming years, and again, to General McGuire. I know this isn't goodbye, it's a thank you, and your service to Arizona and your representation of the women and men in the National Guard has just been incredible. So thank you on behalf of all the people of Arizona.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, everyone.